Right, so time to get into the whole reaction meta thing, right? So a couple of people have reacted to this. Obviously, Baldy himself's reacted to it. But I saw that HexJuice had also reacted to it. This was around when I had 700 subscribers. As of right now, I think about like 2,000. So this was probably a day ago, I'd say. It should say, actually, shouldn't it? Yes, 1 day ago. So this was before Bald Tone reacted to it. So I've never reacted to any video like this ever before, so this is probably going to be an absolute disaster. So let's go. Let's get into this reaction meta bullshit.
Hello, YouTube.
Hello.
How are y'all doing? It's good to see you. You're looking very refreshed and moisturized today.
I don't use moisturizer. What I will say is I have watched HexJuice, but only a little bit, so I don't really know too much about her. Tectone Blue Hellboy looks saucy, not gonna lie. You're going to be disappointed because it's not that saucy, to be honest. It's kind of a pretty milquetoast take, so.
We're going to be watching My Authentic Tectone Experience by Facepalme. I understand that there is...
It's pronounced Facepalme.
A certain level of cringe as, like, I don't know, somebody who's known as a Tectone D-writer for watching this. But I think it's actually pretty interesting because I was a fan of Tectones for a long time before we were friends. And so I think it'll be interesting to see what the authentic Tectone experience is, having both the experience of being like a viewer and someone who just liked his content and also someone who likes him and is friends with him now. Come join us on twitch.tv/hex_juice, where we are live at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time daily. If you're brave enough, it gives you increased Riz and PP size. Let's
Right, so I just want to say something about the whole thumbnail, right? So people are saying how he it makes him look bad, like he's a demon and all this shit. So the whole idea behind the thumbnail, obviously this is AI generated art. And the kind of point of the video was to talk about authenticity, and I kind of mentioned AI, so I thought, it would be a good idea to do some AI art. And I wanted him to look like the Blue Oni, but I also wanted him to look pretty bad. So I was like, I can kind of make him look like Satan, right? But also a Blue Oni at the same time. So that's what I did. So it kind of baits you in, making you think, you know what? This is a hate video about him. But I also kind of put a little few signs here and there to kind of make you think, actually, maybe it isn't. And the whole right? So instead of like reply, I put gotcha Satan, like people, screaming out loud and whatever. So I kind of try to try and make it multi-layered. I'm not sure how many people pick up on that, but as far as thumbnails goes, I think this is a pretty good thumbnail. Not to toot my own horn, but I think this thumbnail is pretty damn good.
Let's go ahead and get into this one.
What's going on? Why is she laughing?
Okay. Tectone is easily one of the most divisive content creators within the gotcha community.
I don't think so. I think everybody likes Tectone a lot. I don't think anyone has ever
I
had a
think he
problem
is.
with Tectone. I can't think of a single person.
Depending on who you ask, he's either the
Oh wait, she was being sarcastic, I see.
best thing since sliced bread or evil incarnate. Occasionally, you might come across somebody with a middle-of-the-road take, but often that appears to be in the minority. Covering other content creators isn't something I typically do, but there is something about Tectone that got the old noggin jogging. I'm not really here to create a timeline of his controversies to explain.
This was such an iconic video.
Yeah, this was insane when this happened. There was just like so much controversy going on all at once, and it's just trying. This is the thing with Genshin, right? Because of how like content starved everybody was all the time, and continues to be, and how like they would never listen to the community. People would just lose their shit, and it would end up like you'd have the audience attacking all the content creators, and then all the content creators attacking each other, and it's just every single time it is just an absolute shitfest. Yeah, it's very entertaining.
Box video was iconic. He cooked a 5-star meal. He's a chef.
Why you should hate or like him, nor am I here to try and change anybody's mind. Instead, my intent here is to talk about my
I hate that video. Can we how much money do I have to spend to get this video deleted off the internet
It's
forever?
so good.
Perspective on the man and lead into a broader point relating to a crisis we're currently in the midst of. I know making a video like this will garner some unwanted attention and some long-term viewers and friends.
I don't know why. Tectone, very well liked individual, never has any problems with everybody. Why would anybody be mad at you for covering Tectone? That never happens. I've never had that happen to me before.
will vehemently disagree with my take, and that is fine. In fact,
So I get she's a little bit sarcastic. So I'm kind of picking up on that now.
I encourage it. I completely
Okay.
respect all the opinions that are presented with civility, and I implore you to get into the comment section and state your point of view. Hopefully,
No, no one's allowed to disagree with me or they will get the death penalty. I do not respect differing opinions at all. I do not respect any other perspectives. You can agree with me or die. Those are the options.
backed with some receipts because I want nothing more than that. But this is the internet. Where there is division and a platform to express yourself, there is always squabbling. So make yourself at home and fight amongst yourselves. Just don't start punching until I ring the bell. Now,
No. The only one punching is me, and that's if you disagree.
with all that housekeeping out of the way, let's get back to the subject at hand. When I first started making Genshin content, I missed the initial wave, while many others quickly rose to prominence as they surfed upon the inward tide. Amongst them was a content creator by the name of Tectone. The
Can we all just agree? So glad he took off the beanie. The beanie removal was an important and necessary thing that needed to happen.
So he looks good now. If you look at how he looked here, he's kind of a bit chubby. He's got the beanie on. And the other thing I noticed a lot about, which we'll pick up on in a little bit, is when he talks a little bit, is the way he talks is completely different now. He always seemed a little shy and a little like nasally, his voice. But he's like got a lot more confidence in himself now, and ripping the beanie off, showing his bald head, you know, it's a good thing. Yeah.
And I'm so glad that festering, rotten orange sack has been permanently removed from the bald head. It's been great.
Gotcha Devil, or maybe the Gotcha Boogeyman, depending on how you look at it. To many, he seemingly came out of nowhere, but he had in fact been covering Gotcha games for a couple of years prior. Some may say his success is entirely down to the Genshin buff, but I've done this for long enough to know that starting out is hard. Obviously, he worked his ass off prior, which gave him a force multiplier when Genshin finally came
That's true.
around and gave him his big break. Just
Yeah, I think that a lot of people like have this sort of view that like that one thing can just make you successful and you don't actually have to try or put in any effort. Like it'll just catapult you to infinite amounts of success like instantly. Nobody who's had any blow up didn't have like a lot of work and skill that had been done for months or years in advance prior to their like blow up period. It's just that nobody knew what they were doing before that blow up period. You can get opportunities, but like when you're in content creation, you see people get opportunities, golden opportunities to blow up all the fucking time. And if they don't have the skill and the knowledge and the work ethic, they will still squander it and ultimately gain nothing from it. And so like I hate that concept that like something made you. Like that doesn't really happen. It can help a lot, obviously, but the reality is like if you get an opportunity but you don't have anything to back up like the opportunity with like actually getting things out that are quality that get people to watch, like it doesn't really matter. I've seen so many people squander insane opportunities.
because you
So 100% agree with this. I've had videos, multiple videos on YouTube that have exploded like crazy. And this is the other thing people don't realize is you can make a viral video on YouTube and it go completely insane, but it will not translate into viewership long term. You'll get a lot of views on that video, like this video that I've released now. It's got about 40k at the moment, but that's not going to translate into many more views on my future videos. I'll probably maybe get a little bit of a bump because people have subscribed. But there's also the problem that you run the risk of is where you create content that loads of people like, they all subscribe to you, and then when you release other videos, nobody watches them. And I've had 2 channels now with dead subscribers. My first channel, well, technically the first channel didn't have dead subscribers because it was lore focused. So every time I'd release a lore video, it would do pretty well. Whereas if I were to get viral doing lore content and then try and do some other type of content that is like my usual content, they just do not translate. I'll get like 100,000 on one video and then I'll be getting 1,000 on the other video, even though I've got, say, 20k subscribers or something. The other thing is I had on another channel that I made afterwards, which was just casual content for Genshin Impact, I had a viral hit on there on a short that got over 2 million views, I think it was, and I ended up gaining 10k subs. And I would release videos and I would still only get 500 views, even if the content was similar. So having one like breakout success means absolute jack shit. It's about being consistent, and you have to release videos constantly, and you have to get people in invested in you as a content creator, not just your content. Your content's got to be good, obviously, and you're like, depending on what type of content you're doing, like say reaction content is actually kind of low effort, but you need to be able to react, and you need to be able to talk on the cuff, and which is kind of crazy to me, because there are some content creators out there, especially on Twitch, that do reaction content and they don't really say anything. They just kind of nod along. Sometimes they'll leave their seat there on its own to watch the video while they go to the toilet. It's insane how that is a thing, but they obviously got popular through some other means beforehand. And yeah, I'm going off on a tangent here. What I do like about Tectone and how HexJuice does it, and Asmongold and some of these other React streamers, is they actually do pause the video a lot and they talk a lot about the content. And that's, to me, is how reaction content should be. This is a complete tangent. What was I talking about before? Yes, so getting big on YouTube, it's incredibly freaking hard. You can invest so much time into stuff, like work really hard and stuff, and it will not gain traction. And that sometimes isn't due to the content not being good, but it's sometimes down to how the algorithm works. The thing with like reaction content, that works really well, generally, because if the video's already popular, you're basically, I wouldn't say sponging, but you're kind of getting a bit of a boost from that. So people will go, oh, that video is in that topic's interesting. I'm interested to see what this person who makes I'm interested to see what this person react to it. So you'll get some of your audience, maybe some people from outside the audience that are just interested in the video, but you kind of have this constant stream of content, and that works quite well. Some of the content I've tried to make is kind of just heavily edited videos, and the problem is, because they're not topical, they do not get traction very well, and like the YouTube algorithm will not push it. The YouTube algorithm will sometimes push my videos to like certain people, and those people will just hover over the video and then move on. So I ended up with like really high retention, like people from the start of the video will watch it from start to end. That percentage will be high, but the amount of people that actually watch, like actually don't drop off at the very start, is very low, because a lot of people are not sure what the content is. They hover over it and go, oh, that's not for me, and then move on. YouTube just doesn't know who to give it to. So as a result, my content doesn't really get pushed out very much. So yeah, there's a lot to this whole subject of like how you build yourself as a content creator. And obviously with Tectone, he's been releasing videos for a very long time on very specific topics to do with gotcha gaming, and slowly he's accumulated an audience, and then he's got to the point where Genshin now has come out. Genshin's become extremely popular. He's already established as a content creator, so he's getting kind of put to the front of the queue, and then as a result, he's blown up, because there is definitely a Genshin buff there, but he's put in the work, and he's then continued to put in the work, and be consistent from that point onward. And this is kind of my problem with YouTube in general, is I'm not very consistent and I'm very indecisive and I don't really know what I want to do with YouTube. I have a great idea, I'll do the idea, and then I'll not really have anything to follow up with, which is kind of where I'm at the moment. I don't know what kind of content I'm going to be doing going forward from here on out, because the content I was doing is completely opposite to the video that just blew up. So I'm just going to basically throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, and just experiment with my content and see where it goes. I kind of just want to make what I want, so that's how I'm going to approach YouTube. Anyway, let's continue. This is going to take us hours if I go on tangents that long.
You didn't see it doesn't mean it wasn't there. Back then, I would occasionally catch his content, drawn in by his quote-unquote clickbait thumbnails and titles. And quite frankly, I didn't like the guy. Loud, obnoxious, egotistical,
transphobic, homophobic, racist, sexist, misogynist.
And worst of all
of those are true.
came across as a fake-ass bitch.
Where's the proof? Where's the evidence?
But that didn't stop me from being interested in his takes. Every now and again, during a major game
Oh God, the little sorry, the little 3 strands of hair is cute.
Yeah, I always wondered if he was bald or not back then, because he's got that little bit of hair, but that's all that he has on show. So
Killing me. Bro is trying to pretend he has hair. Put that shit away.
related
it's like Schrodinger's hair at that point, isn't it? Is he bald? Is he not? Who knows?
controversy, such as the Zhongli fiasco, I'd have a listen to what Tectone had to say. More often than not, I'd disagree with his opinions, but that didn't make them any less interesting to me. At the time, I would occasionally watch a couple of content creators known as Jinx and Tuna, who had known prior for their Monster Hunter content. And oh boy, did Tectone get into a scuffle with those guys.
I still feel like I don't fully understand why this was such a big deal. Because like I've seen a video that sort of summarized this situation. Honestly, to me, it just seemed like a nothing burger. And like this is something that is brought up so often. And I still to this day, like I just feel like I don't entirely understand why it was such a big deal.
I do appreciate that you took the time to want to talk instead of just talk shit. It means a lot, so thank you very much.
I got you, baby.
In the end,
Yeah, it was such a weird thing, because I remember just everybody saying there's this whole beef between the pair of them, and then I watched the entire stream of them talking, and there was literally no problem at all. And then once they'd finished, then there was obviously that clip that I showed, which was on Tectone's stream, where it was like, everything's all good. But then, like, a couple of days after, then there's, like, another kind of thing where Tectone's saying how they've basically been bitching about him behind his back. And then that was that. And, like, here, like, this quote here from Tuna, I'm going to say, we didn't quit because of one person, it might have been two. I'm not sure if he's suggesting that Tectone was the other person. But he's definitely suggesting that Asian guy streams was the, like, part of the reason why they quit. So I don't really understand what the hell this was all about. It was kind of a weird thing. But yeah, let's carry on.
in the end, they quit content creation, but funnily enough, not because of Tectone, but because of another content creator. Well, I dare say slightly Tectone contributed to their final decision in some way, but I digress. I continue to occasionally check in on him and see what he had to say. One of the most interesting takes to memory is how he would rationalise his spending habits. He stated that by wailing on the game, he was making an example of himself, as a sort of warning for other players. He believed if he exposed his audience to his ridiculous spending habits, he'd act as a scarecrow and prevent others from getting suckered into spending on predatory systems. Because
I'm gonna be honest that, like, as a viewer at this time, because I watched like every like crazy ass C6 video Techie did for like a year, you know? I will say that for me, it did the exact opposite. I think that people in their right mind are absolutely going to be like, oh no, I don't need to, like, that's crazy, this fucking idiot, whatever. Because I was already kind of struggling with like my Genshin problem, watching him spend, it didn't feel like suffering. It felt like entertainment, and it made me want to actually wish more.
Yes, so this is the point I make in this video in a minute, is like, if you already into the whole Genshin and spending, the kind of gambling aspect of it, when you see somebody else spending a lot, it makes you go, oh, I want to spend as well. They get the itch. Whereas if you already know that this stuff is fucking awful and bullshit and you shouldn't be doing it, then you'll just look at him and go, what a fucking idiot, and then move on. So kind of case in point of like HexJuice is a good example of somebody who I talk about a little bit later in the video.
I think it was like sad because like I think part of it is just that he's a good entertainer, and so like he's obviously trying to say like I'm suffering, but like it's the whole situation is just so exciting that I never really felt that like he was not suffering nearly enough. His suffering was too fun, and then I was like I could suffer like that and spend a bunch of money and it'd be great. I'm not spending thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm spending like I don't know like $300. It's not that bad, and so like it actually helped me justify it and made it more alluring to spend the money.
It would appear that stupid.
If someone sees that it took me $700 to get it clean, they're not going to think, oh, $600 or $700? I'll go drop that right now.
Can I tell y'all a story that sort of concluded recently? So I thought that Tartaglia in Genshin was super cool. Like, I thought he was a cool character. I'm gonna be honest, I read a lot of Tartaglia fan fiction, and I'm not gonna really expand on that concept. I just read a lot of Tartaglia fan fiction. But the thing was, is I did not like to play him at all. I did not enjoy his gameplay. I didn't like the stance switching thing. I hated his cooldowns. I didn't like the characters he had to play with him. Like, I did not like playing Tartaglia at all. But Techie kept saying, oh, well, if you just get like constellations, he's perfect. He's so fine. But like, if you're C0, blah, blah, blah. And so my ass heard that and was like, okay, I'll continue to spend money now and just keep getting constellations. I kept like spending money, hoping that eventually I would see where Tartaglia was fun to play. And it just sort of never happened.
God damn it. Oh, yeah. So definitely an influencer. Yeah, definitely an influencer.
I just never liked to play the character. He was just clunky to use. I would never choose to use him in Spiral Abyss. But like Tectone said that the constellations fixed him. And recently he talked about it. We were in VC together on like one of the first couple days of Withering Waves. And he was like, oh yeah, I was always coping about that because I had him C6. So it's my bad. Like I kept saying that he was good. He wasn't good. I was coping. And I was like, okay, I'm glad I spent all that money then. Woohoo!
Yeah, I do remember him quite a bit talking about Tartaglia, how do you say his stupid name, and being good. I never thought he was that great, but I completely ignored him. So there you go.
I think what they'll think is, why the fuck is this dumbass spending this much money on fucking 2D anime girl?
I thought, wow, it looks so cool when he spends all that money on 2D anime girls. That's awesome. I'm going to do that.
Though I could see the logic, I personally believe that most people who would pick up on the absurdity of it already thought spending high sums of money was stupid anyway. Whereas others who desire to engage with the gacha system would watch Tectone spending and start to feel the itch.
You don't have to be fucking kidding me!
I was there for this, by the way. I watched this live happen. It was devastating. It was very something.
However, despite disagreeing with his method, I did agree with his intent, though I couldn't tell if it was pure intentions or a simple justification for him to wail and in turn bolster his channel, while forgoing the ethics of it all. It wasn't until a video titled The State of Genshin Impact that my opinion of Tectone began to change. In this video, he'd taken
Oh, the old forest videos. This is very nostalgic. As like a fan, you know, I see these and I'm like, ah, Techie being real. I loved these videos. He would stream this too. Like he would stream in the forest. And I thought that was like, I always enjoyed that because that was when he wasn't doing so much of like the Tectone thing, you know? And again, I feel like a little like cringe and embarrassed for like talking about being a fan of somebody that I'm friends with now, but it is like, do you guys feel that? Like who are like Tectone fans in my chat? It's like nostalgia for these old videos? Because this was like, are these old videos, these old streams?
a trip to a
Yeah, so when I found this video, I used to watch Tectone, but like, as I said, always disagree with him and whatever. And I always thought he was a bit fake, and I wasn't too big on that. I understand that is like he's playing a bit of a persona, and that's fine. Like he's playing a character. A lot of people on YouTube play a character, and I've got no problem with that. It was just too much for me to watch him constantly, so I'd just watch him here and there. And then I watched this video because I was like, what's he doing in a forest, right? That was literally, this is what the thumbnail for the video is. And he starts off very much like the same guy, but as he kind of warms up and relaxes a bit, he becomes himself. And I think when he's acting himself, he's actually a lot more interesting to watch and a lot more enjoyable to watch. And I get that sometimes he has to kind of put on a bit of a front when he's streaming and whatever. But I think it would benefit him to just chill the fuck out sometimes and just do this more often. Because every time I see a video, or because I don't really watch Twitch, but every time I see a video of Tectone in a forest, I'll watch it because he actually is just real. He's his real self there. And I think a lot of the hate, he wouldn't get as much hate if that's what he was like all the time. But at the same time, creating all the hate and everything around him is another reason why he is such a well-known figure anyway. And I really wonder, like, this is something I've kind of contemplated myself for a while. If he was more himself, would it be as popular as he is? I mean, I'm not saying that he isn't himself when he's been over-exaggerated. He's kind of exaggerating his personality. But if he was, like, more calm and chilled out, would he be more popular? He would definitely get less hate. But it's hard to really know if that would translate into the same amount of popularity that he gets. Anyway, let's carry on.
Forest to speak his mind about Genshin. At first, his loud persona was on full display, but as the video went on, he relaxed a little, and I started to see the man behind the mask. Many of the feelings he expressed about Genshin Impact mirrored my own at the time, that I began to formulate way before the release of Inazuma. It's also important to note that around the time I stopped making lore content, I had some positive interactions with another content creator who goes by the name of Ashikai. I could see huge potential in her content. Although we're not really close and haven't spoken for a while, I did consider her closer to a friend than an acquaintance and wanted to see her succeed. Soon after, to her own merit, Ashikai exploded on YouTube, but part of that was due to Tectone shining a light on her content. While many content creators would get big and pull the ladder up behind them, Tectone didn't seem that way inclined, and through
He's still not like that, obviously. If you're here. If you're currently watching, to a certain extent, you probably found me in part in some way because Tectone doesn't pull the ladder up behind him and still doesn't. He's like one of the most willing, like, bigger content creators I've ever met to help people out and give people a chance. He's still like this.
See, the thing that I like about that is basically what I'm like. When Genshin first came out and I released my first couple of like videos that did incredibly well, there was a lot of other content creators that were smaller than me. Clementine was one of them. There's a few others, and I would constantly put out posts and stuff saying, please check out this guy's videos. I would mention them in my videos. And I would also send them messages and say, you're doing great content, keep going, right? And then when I kind of stopped doing lore content a little bit. I kind of lost interest. The reason I lost interest in lore content is because I didn't want to continue to do lore content for like the rest of whatever my YouTube career was going to be. I wanted to do more things that, like, the content I used to do when I first started Genshin was just messing around and having fun, and that's what the kind of content I was kind of wanting to go toward. But I did lore content on a whim and it blew up. As a result, that put me in a weird position. Again, I'm going on a tangent, but what I used to do is I used to try and get these other content creators, trying to pull them up a bit that were smaller than me at the time. I think I was probably at about 10, 15k. So I would go to their comments and leave them a comment saying, keep doing what you're doing. I hope you do well, like, whatever. They would add me on Twitter or whatever. Occasionally would chat or whatever. be in Discord chat and stuff, all that kind of crap. But that is the way I think you should be. Like, you owe that to other people. If you, well, not that you owe that to other people, because it's kind of a bit of a double-edged sword. Because at the same time, I've had people beg me to give them a shout out, and then I've gone and looked at the content, and I'm like, your content isn't really, like, I don't really think like your content. But what I would do in that situation is, like, I'd say, look, I'm not going to give you a shout out because I believe if I give you a shout out, it would literally do nothing for you, which is true. I've done it before where I've done a shout out for somebody and I didn't think the content was good enough, and it literally didn't result in any like new traffic. It resulted in that video getting more like traction, but it didn't translate into anything for their channel or any growth in terms of subscribers. And this is what you've got to kind of understand as a content creator, is you've got to make content that is good, that people want to watch. And this is something I've struggled with, trying to find the right type of content that suits me and the audience. I know how to make content that suits the audience because I've done it through lore. I've done it through like some of my viral videos that I've done on my other channel. I've done it technically I've done it with this channel by releasing this video because people obviously wanted to watch this and they enjoyed it and it's done well. I've done it with game development stuff because I also do game dev. I kind of have an idea, but the where I have the problem is my kind of tastes does not align with what YouTube wants me to do. And that's why I've struggled as a content creator. I've kind of gone on a tangent and forgot what my original point was, which is something I do quite a lot. Oh yeah, pulling the ladder up behind you. Yeah, so some like people would come to me, they'd say, please give me a shout out, please beg, please give me a shout out, please, you need to help me, I've been doing this for 4 years, I've gotten nowhere, blah, blah, blah. And then like, I would give them a shout out, they'd get nothing they'd get views, but it would translate into nothing. And that's because you need to be making the right content, you need to be good. And I'm only going to shout out people that I believe make something good. If you're not making something good, then I'm not going to shout you out. And that's the kind of mentality Tectone has. And you'll get a lot of people saying, oh, well, Tectone never helped me, I'm a small content creator and whatever. It's complete bullshit. You need to help yourself before somebody can like lift you up. If you're making trash, then there's nothing they can help you with. You got to make something good. Before I go on more of a tangent, let's move on.
For a bone, I gained a little respect for him. As I became less interested in Genshin, Tectone stopped showing up in my feed. The only time I'd hear about him was through Asmongold here and there. Occasionally I might see a comment on my own videos talking about how much of an asshole he is, or how he's stirred up some of the old drama again. This appears to be a sticking point for many when it comes to their dislike towards him. They'll claim they hate drama, but seemingly flip-flop the moment the drama implicates him negatively. Getting on a high horse saying, I
love how much people try to act like they hate drama, as if every single content creator, when there is drama, doesn't have massively inflated views if they cover it. Y'all don't hate drama. Y'all eat that shit up like your favorite food.
Everybody loves drama. And obviously there are people that do not like it, right? To say that like everybody loves drama, they do to some extent, but there's a lot of people that just find it really irritating to constantly have drama going on all around. They just want to enjoy their game or whatever it is, and they don't want to have this stuff constantly thrusted in front of them about this person falling out with this person and all this kind of stuff. There are people like that, and that's completely fine. I've got no problem with that. The point I'm making at this point are the type of people that will say they hate drama, and then they'll make a post on Reddit complaining about Tectone did this or Tectone said this, or go on Twitter and like call him like all kinds of words under the sun because they disagree with him, and then also at the same side, like the other side of the mouth, say they hate drama and they hate Tectone because he facilitates it or he uses it to whatever. Part of the reason why I think Tectone is as popular as he is because he not necessarily well, he does kind of stir the pot sometimes, but he does leech a bit off the drama. But there's no problem with that. It's something that I personally wouldn't want to do, but people do watch that and people enjoy it. So if there's a market for it, then just do it. It doesn't matter. Just whatever. Like, who cares? It's just, if you don't like it, if you don't like all the drama and stuff, then it's on you to just stay away from it. And that's what I tend to do a lot of the time. I'll see something will come up on my front page going, oh, there's a new drama. A lot of the time I won't watch it. I'll just be like, okay, whatever, I'll move on. And there's a difference between that, just like not being interested in drama and moving on, and then like getting on your, like, really angry and upset every time somebody mentions anything drama related. And it's just, yeah, I just find it a bit weird that people, like, the other thing with this whole thing is when that drama, like, they'll say they hate drama, but when it implicates somebody else that they do not like, then they'll lap it up and they'll love it, and then they'll be engaging in the comments and whatever and saying, yeah, I hate Tectone because he stirs drama, even though they're basically just currently engaging in goddamn drama themselves. Yeah, let's move on.
Everybody does better when there's drama occurring. Everybody watches it, and it's crazy that people will watch it just to then comment, oh, I can't believe these like drama people. It's so fucking annoying. Blah 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 blah. Like, oh, shut up. You just want to start problems for.
But aren't you just feeding into the drama when you do that? When you start complaining and going, oh, Tectone drama, you're feeding into the drama. Like, you're creating drama around yourself when you do that. If you just ignore it and move on, then you're not creating drama. There's no drama anywhere. You're ignoring it. You're not getting engaged in it. You're not, like, interacting with it. It's just like, oh, that person over there is engaging in drama. I'm going to go over and say, why are you getting involved in drama? Then you're creating more drama. It's just, it's so bizarre.
And it's like, y'all love that shit. Y'all love it, and that's okay. I do too. I love reality TV. It's like one of my favorite, like,
I hate reality TV.
guilty pleasure brain off hobbies, right? But like, pretending like it's not human nature to adore drama and watch drama and want to know chisme is like insane to me.
Drama.
I mean storytelling, right? You just think of storytelling. Drama is storytelling. Like, it's part of the fundamental human experience. Drama is just one of those things. Like, I'm obviously British, and there's a whole thing with British people where we complain a lot. We're not happy unless we're moaning, and that's just part of the human experience. We love drama. We love to complain about things. We love when things aren't right, because if everything's good and hunky dory, we're not happy. So you know, it's just one of those things.
Hate Tectone because he creates it. Always seemed a little off to me. I'm with you when it comes to not really being one for drama, but I don't say this as some weird virtue signal. I'd argue that by simply existing as a human being, we all like drama to some extent. So it'd be stupid for me to try and claim it's a blight on this world, because we're all social creatures at the end of the day. After a long absence,
I truly believe in my heart and soul that like human language was created to bitch about Grok over there. To bitch about Grok, who missed his spear on the mammoth again, who fucked up the hunt, fucking Grok, and his bitch wife, who never gets enough berries. She doesn't do her share of the berry gathering. Sitting around the campfire bitching about Grok and his wife who don't do fuck all. It's so human nature to be interested in that stuff. Like, I think nobody really likes it being their own personal drama. I fucking hate when it's actually involving me. It sucks. But like other people's drama, I'll listen.
And again, it's not for everybody, right? I completely understand that. That's not what I'm criticizing. What I'm criticizing is the people that say, oh, I hate drama, and then they're complaining about it. Because, again, they're just creating drama around themselves anyway. It's just, yeah. Like, if you don't like drama, you can say, I don't like drama, and then move on and just don't engage with it. It's fine. It's not a problem.
Appeared back on my radar during the controversy between.
There, by the way, just as a note, there's an entire TikTok account where their whole thing is just talking about really niche drama that nobody cares about. She does insane numbers where she just she calls it like niche tea, and she'll talk about like tea from these like really obscure like Facebook groups.
So you think of just magazines and like tabloids and just anything like that. Like, there's a lot of just drama, celebrity gossip, all this kind of stuff. People lap it up. It's really, really popular. So like it's just one of those things that is like human nature. It's like part of the human experience. It's just one of those fucking things. So just if you don't like it, just don't engage with it. It's fine.
And like she does so well because people just love like a little bit of like the tea, the drama, the appeal. Like it's so appealing.
Brax and Atsu. During this time, another situation had come to a head between him and Enviosity that had been ongoing for some time, apparently. I would empathize with Envy if it wasn't for
I literally had no idea about this whole thing. I did like it just completely flew under my radar, and then I saw all this stuff. I was like, what the fuck is all this? Enviosity, I've never had any problem with him. The whole kind of free to play messiah, like kind of like Jesus complex that he has, I find that really weird. I'm somebody who was free to play. I did do Welcome, but I was a strong advocate of free to play. Don't spend money on this crap because it's not because it's like bad for you. I don't care what you spend your money on, but I think in terms of like the video game industry and where we're going in terms of monetization, where we've been going since the horse armor, if anybody understands what I'm talking about there, it's been a slippery slope where it's been getting increasingly worse to the point where now we've got all this microtransaction shit, and now they're also trying to push like video games to be $70 at the same time, and then they've also got these mega packs that are like $120. It's insane the amount of money they're trying to milk out of you, and it's because of inflated budgets and just like really bad management in these companies because they're too fucking big to succeed. So when it came to Genshin, like I did not want to see gacha become the norm when it comes to video games, because it was already kind of becoming the norm in the West when it came to like loot boxes and stuff. So I didn't want to see that happen, and I also wanted to see people be responsible. And the complete opposite happened. People were spending a lot, and that was another reason why I wasn't so big on Tectone, is because I don't really like the whale mentality of spending loads of money on this crap. I think it creates a bad thing for everybody. The whale will say, I'm funding your game, and to an extent that is a good argument. You are funding the game and you are allowing better content for everybody else who doesn't pay any money, but at the same time you're also contributing to a increasing problem where they become more and more predatory, and that's only going to continue as people are spending money on this shit, and it's a losing battle at this point. That's why I don't really talk about it too much and trying to advocate it like Enviosity, but like he's got such an ego boner over this shit, and you'll see in the clip that I put in this video, it is kind of insane, and it's so stupid. I do not understand that mentality either. It's kind of like the other end of the spectrum where it's just like, dude, like, you're not anybody special for not spending money. It's so easy to not spend money. It doesn't make you anybody special. But yeah, let's carry on.
Shameless attempts at character assassination. You don't get to take clips related to personal matters, strip away their context,
was bullshit,
and present them in a way to stick the knife
this
in.
Is
because
really
somebody
bullshit.
Called you names on the internet.
See, like that clip does make him look bad, but the thing you've got to understand is when it comes to relationships, there could be other baggage and stuff that's happened previously in the day that you do not know about, and he's basically using that as a way to beat him over the head. Go, look how awful he looks in this clip. It's completely out of context. There's so much context that is missing around it. His entire personal life, all that kind of stuff. The fact that he did that is just so fucking wrong, in my opinion.
Cassidy, I'm so sorry that I called you a mint picker.
By doing this, you only confirm that
Beyond that part of it, because that clip is, if you're aware of the full context of that clip, pretty fucking awful and heartbreaking and wretched. And like, honestly, just like sort of evil to bring up. My thing about enviosity, and I've said this since the beginning of me talking about gacha stuff, because those were the videos that originally like sort of did well for me. Blaming other people for your mental health and your actions, it's inappropriate. Like I hated that language of like Tectone did this to me. There's no appropriate situation in which the reaction is a panic attack, because a panic attack is you reacting to something as if it is impending physical doom when it is not. Like, the fact is that like Enviosity never apologized for this, never deleted these tweets, like all of those things. Like, do you think we should hold people accountable for the issues they caused for us? No one can cause you to have a panic attack. That is a sign of your own personal issues. Also, additionally, the panic attacks that he was forced to have were because of, I think, Tectone giving him money in Genshin Impact to celebrate him succeeding in beating content, and like not inviting him to a game show that everyone was invited to, that Envy sort of just had to message him to be included in. Those are not Tectone being unkind to him. Those were not reasonable reactions to fuck all. There's a difference between holding someone accountable for their actions and blaming someone for all of the problems in your life. And Enviosity was not doing the adult responsible thing, especially when he had no fucking part in any of this.
So there's obviously a lot of context around this that I don't fully understand and I don't know a lot about. But from an outsider looking in, I just see a lot of this stuff is like Enviosity like overreacts in a way and gets upset very easily, and you'll see just from like the clip that I put in here, there's people on his Twitter complaining about why is he not doing this, why is he not doing that, and then his reaction is to just absolutely lose his shit live on stream. And that to me is obviously a problem with him, and he needs to try and reel that back in, and sometimes it's not very easy. Sometimes that's just your personality. A good example is Asmongold. There was a video that he released the other day, and he was talking about how like when he plays Dark Souls and stuff and he does it on stream, he just gets tilted really easily, and then he gets into like an emotional state where he's like, he becomes irrational, and he's just like, he just becomes stubborn and all these kinds of things. I can relate to that because when I play games, I can sometimes get frustrated depending on certain factors. There's certain things games where I don't get frustrated, and then other ones where I just lose my shit. Part of the reason why I stopped playing League of Legends is because I used to just become incredibly, not toxic, but just angry and frustrated, not because I was bad at League of Legends. At the time, I was pretty good at it. The problem was other players, things that are out of my control. When the things happen that are out of my control, or when people like start shouting at me or anything like that, which is like when I feel like I've done nothing wrong, or people like criticize me in a way which I feel like I've done nothing wrong. That's when I like see red. So this is just a problem with Enviosity's personality in general. He seems like he's quite sensitive, and yes, to some extent you've got to be civil, and you've got to not be too provocative and give these types of people too much shit. But a lot of it is also like his responsibility. He needs to get those emotions and that aspect of his personality under check. And it's not easy. I'm not saying that it's an easy thing to do, because it definitely isn't. I know from, as I just explained, I know from experience. But he definitely is. Enviosity has definitely got like major issues in that regard. And that's from an outsider looking in. It's very apparent from very few clips that I've seen of him, and not being like an active viewer of him, that is a major problem with him. And I think a lot of this stuff, when it comes to Tectone and him, a lot of this is overblown. And I think the impression I get from Tectone is a lot of the stuff is, yes, to some extent, he shouldn't be like giving him too much crap and whatever. He should understand that this is just the way Enviosity is, and he probably just get a bit of a rile out of winding up Enviosity a little bit. But from the stuff that HexJuice just explained, I have heard about some of these things in passing, and some of them sound like, yes, it's actually kind of your fault, and you're like blaming other people instead of looking inward and going, hang on a minute, I've fucked up here. And it's like not taking responsibility for yourself and for your own actions, which is the problem with Enviosity here. But yeah, I digress. Let's continue on.
Inserted himself, blamed Tectone for mental health issues, way outside of the scope of like, internet beef. And then also on top of that, brought up his fucking, his marriage, his ex-marriage. And realistically, Enviosity also did a bunch of bullshit that nobody ever wants to talk about. Enviosity also would poke and prod and be shitty and talk shit. But he, like, it's one of those people where, like, they talk shit and they talk shit and they poke you and they prod you and then they scratch at you and then they call you a little name. They go, I'm not touching you, while, like, almost touching you. And then when you respond, they go, that's not nice. You can't talk to me like that. Why are you being mean? That's a cry bully. And like he also perpetuated hatred to people who spent money on the game. If you can't take what you dish out, don't dish anything out. Stay out of it.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Dislike your target, while every other neutral party will look at you with side eyes.
I should be the only motherfucker getting praise in the Genshin community because I don't spend money.
I mean, at this point, as a meme, completely iconic statement. However, realistically speaking, insane fucking thing to say in seriousness. I thought when I first saw this that it was a joke. I had to be convinced that this was not a bit the first time I heard it because it was such an absurd thing to say. But like now it's like I love the meme. I love that meme.
On Genshin Impact, I don't spend money. I am free to play for 3+ years.
I don't know.
Ain't nobody give a fuck. More or less, Enviosity's main thing was that he was a free-to-play player, and like everybody needed to be like really like impressed by him because he was a free-to-play. Like that was like his whole thing. Like he was free-to-play and therefore was special and different, and that was what was interesting about his content. This like free-to-play
Messiah
supremacy is like weird. It's not so much that he wants everyone to be free-to-play. It's more so that he was very judgmental of anyone who spent the game and felt like he was better than others for not spending money, and that was very apparent in that clip. No,
he's like, you believe you're better than other people because you don't spend money. It's nothing to be proud of. It's not a hard thing to do. To not spend money is so fucking easy, at least for me anyway. Maybe not for other people, but to just not spend money, it's not a big deal, right? And if people want to spend money on the game, they can spend money on what they want, on what they want, because it's their money. All I would say is the only kind of argument I have for not spending on the game is, as I said earlier, we're going down a very slippery slope where we're going to make these games more predatory. We're just going to screw ourselves in the long run. We're going to end up with more and more microtransactions, more and more gotcha systems. I'm actually quite thankful with Wuthering Waves at the moment that they've kind of dialed it back from Genshin, and it's more user friendly, more not consumer. This is the other thing. I might make a video on this, but more customer friendly, because we are, at the end of the day, customers. We're not consumers, and we shouldn't be treated that way.
By your target, while every other neutral party will look at you with side eyes.
I should be the only motherfucker getting praise in the Genshin community because I don't spend money on Genshin Impact. I don't spend money. I am free to play for 3+ years.
I don't know.
Like, congratulations. It's a fucking game. It's also Genshin Impact. Nobody's like that impressed. You know what I mean?
Did you just wind it back to watch the clip in full and then pause it in the exact same spot again? I see this happen a lot on reaction streamers because it's always the same moment where people get that thought to say something. It's just funny to watch.
There's been a lot of ideas that's been going around in my mind on what I should do for the giveaway, and then I thought, why not just make it simple and just do a viewer summon.
So some of my favorite ways to make criticism is where you do not say anything. All you need to do is have a clip and then another clip, and you can make commentary by doing that. It's when it's like that easy and blatant, it's just that you can do 2 simple edits like that and make a point. It's just my favorite thing, and I didn't even need to say really anything about Enviosity with this. All I had to do is put those 2 clips together, and you can see that he's a fucking hypocrite. that he has spent money on the game, but it's just not being on his account, which is like so like dishonest to say that I've spent no money and then get on your high horse and tell everybody that you're the great messiah while you have been contributing to the problem by spending money. It's just like a whole ego thing that I just do not get. It's so fucking weird.
Giveaway.
I don't spend money.
I understand that Tectoon may well have made streaming hell for Envy, and I'm not going to pretend that's okay, but two wrongs never make a right. And
I think that went both ways a lot more than people would like to actually genuinely acknowledge. Tectone is the bigger and louder and meaner side.
I think she's got a point here. I think that Envy probably gave Tectone a lot of shit, and a lot of his fans went over to Tectone and gave him crap. But the difference is Tectone's got thicker skin, whereas Enviosity is this little squidgy slime that, you know, little prod, and he just goes off on one. So I think she's definitely making a good point here on this.
Of that, but that absolutely and 100% went both ways. Enviosity talked massive and constant shit about Tectone and like sub.
Oh, and this post here, this whole thing on Twitter on a public platform, doing all this shit is evidence of that.
Sub talking shit about Tectone, about people who spend money, and like also was sort of an unbearable asshole in the situation. It went both ways. It's just that one is a little bit more like sad about it, and one is like a big, strong, mean man. And so everybody thinks that like he's just fine and that it's not a problem both ways.
a line was definitely crossed here. All it really did for me was further humanize Tectone.
Yeah.
Over the
Also, I'd like to say that, like, before understanding the full context of that clip, which is out there, I'm not going to, like, get into it because I don't think it's really, like, my story to tell. But before even understanding the context of that clip, I thought it was so weird and gross that people use that as a way to be like, I would never treat my significant other like that if I had one. I would never speak to someone I loved like this. And the reality is, in life, is, like, relationships are not easy or simple or linear, and you don't actually get to be married to someone for a long time and be like floating about on a cloud with rainbows and sunshine. Like, marriages, long-term relationships are hard, and there are times where things are rough and things that you say are not really what you mean or how you really feel, but it's hard. And I hated the way people would be like, I would never ever.
Yeah, people that would say that, they say they would never say certain things, but in the heat of the moment, depending on personality type, I mean, there's some people that are able to keep their cool better than others, but in the heat of a moment and when there's a lot of stuff going on, you are going to say things that you don't necessarily mean, or that like are more emotionally driven. And like that clip again, like, you don't know what she says to him behind closed doors. You don't know all that context. It's not there. So why would you put that clip out as evidence of, oh, he's an awful person, he treats her like crap, or whatever the fuck the intent was? It's just mind-boggling, to be honest, that he would even do that, and he would think that was okay. Obviously, the guy doesn't have a lot of life experience to understand that is just, you know, the way things are sometimes. Maybe that's what it is. I assume, I'm not sure how old Enviosity is, but he gives me the impression that he's quite young.
Ever treat my partner like this, but I've never obviously been in a long-term relationship and I don't have one.
Exactly.
And so it doesn't really matter. But like this like weird like virtue signaling about how you should treat the person you love. And it's like, marriage is long-term. It's work. It's difficult. Most of y'all will break up after the honeymoon phase. When it gets hard. Y'all don't know nothing about real relationships. Most people who've been married for a long time have had a shitty conversation like that. It's just not usually.
It's just ebbs and flows as well. Like, sometimes you'll have like a relationship that starts out really great and then it gets really shit, and then at that point people tend to break up. But if they push through it, then things get good again, and then later on in life it might get worse and then get better. It's just the nature of like these types of things. It's the same with like you think about people that would say that they're really like down in the dumps and whatever at this point in their life, they're at the lowest point in their life. There's ebbs and flows to life, and it's the same with your relationships with people around you. You know, it's just, one of those things, and occasionally you're gonna say things that you don't mean, and you're both gonna get upset and bad things happen. Some people work out and other people don't. It's just one of those things. So if you haven't got any life experience, then you wouldn't understand that.
Actually, on the internet.
Succeeding months, more Tectone controversies occurred, and every now and again, I tune in and listen to his rationale. Something you need to understand about me that may seem alien to a few of you is, I put significantly less stock in what somebody says, thinks, and does compared to why. Because the why always tells you more about the person than the what. I like to listen to people I deeply disagree with on the surface because every now and again I will discover something I wasn't aware of before. This doesn't necessarily always result in me changing my mind, because in many cases it will act as a means to bolster my own stance. Simply put, understanding the opposition will in turn help you better understand yourself.
So this might get a little political, right? But if you're going into a political debate with somebody, the way you win the debate is understand your enemy. It's basically the art of war, right? If you do not understand your enemy, then there's no way you could possibly win in a fight against them, because you don't know what's coming. You'll be surprised by things. Whereas if you know all their arguments inside out, and as a result, if you understand the opposition really well, then you'll understand your own argument even better, because you can basically plug all the holes in your argument that they could potentially attack, right? And it's the same if if you write essays and whatever, they tell you that you have to make the other argument and then argue against it. That is just basic critical way of being critical of something. Understanding the other argument is so fucking important, and we seem to be in a situation now where a lot of people refuse to listen to the other argument, and they just want to go in their own little echo chamber and not listen to people they disagree with. It's kind of insane to me that people think that way. I understand to some extent that people just want to be in their little safe haven. I'm just not like that. I like to hear conversations that I do not agree, arguments and conversations that I don't agree with. I mean, I watch Plazookas, right? So I've been watching Plazookas. Some of the stuff he says is absolutely insane and has absolutely no logic to it, but I'll watch his videos. I'll sit there and have it on in the background, and I'll watch the entire thing, because what he says is very interesting. And hearing some alternate point of view on something that I completely disagree with is, and I actually found sometimes some of the stuff Bazookas was saying, I kind of I agree with that. And then other things, I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Where do you get to that? So yeah, that's why I care about why people think about things. Because if you the why is way more interesting. You think of religion or whatever, all these kinds of things. Why are people religious? And you get a whole new perspective on these kind of aspects of life that you wouldn't otherwise have if you just always go down the path of the things that you believe and talk to people that have similar mindsets. You just end up becoming more affirmed in those beliefs, and then every time you come out of that bubble, you then have a shock, and you're like, why would you think this thing that is completely alien to me? And you start to think there's something wrong with other people, and you start to become cynical and hostile to other people. Whereas if you just open your mind and listen to everybody and give them a fair shake, give them the benefit of the doubt, generally you'll just find that you can cope with shit easier, and you can argue better, and you can speak your mind better, and whatever. So yeah, let's continue on.
I continue to come back to Tectone because I find him fascinating, and over time I believe
this edit's so funny. I've got that little dance thing in the background. For some reason though, I couldn't get rid of the green lines around him. It's really annoying. I tried. I think my Kia is the shit. I think I need a better chroma Kia. But yeah,
he has only become truer to himself. If you listen to him, he will tell you exactly why he does what he does. I believe outside of exaggerating his pre-existing personality traits.
I'll be honest, right? So I might come across as somebody who, don't be very civil, be nice to everybody, but I do love when somebody does this fucking shit posting. I don't shit post myself, but I love seeing when people shit post. So this whole Robin thing to me was so funny.
There is no persona. What you see is what you get. And though I don't always agree with the manner in which he conducts himself online, I do commend his ability to be true to himself. For example, during the Robin controversy, he made tweets to anger a certain subset of the fandom. He explicitly stated his motivations behind what he said was to help draw attention away from another content creator who goes
He did do that very successfully.
by the name of Tawanto, who was receiving unwarranted hate for a pretty innocuous tweet.
So the other day, Tawano goes out and makes a perfectly normal tweet. And this tweet was, guys, do I have any chance with her? Be real. Please lie to me. In any video game that I play, I generally play the warrior or a tank, but I like being on the front line.
This
I know Tawano's a
100%
pretty
makes sense
sensitive
of his
guy, and he was
personality.
probably a little bit uncomfortable with
Yeah.
the amount of negative attention he was getting for merely saying, hey guys, I like this character. What do you think? So I went ahead and cast AoE taunt, and I put out 2 tweets. Can't wait for the R34 of Robin attempting to buff allies with her singing, but she can't because she's too busy sucking dick.
Like, I get that to some people this is so fucking bad and they don't like it, and that you're basically like, he's basically poking a bear with this, but that is the intent, right? He wants to get all the attention on him and away from somebody else. I've had people's in the comments say, do you think that it undermines it all when he kind of plays victim and complains about how he's getting all the hate? And I kind of disagree with that. I don't think he complains about the getting hate. He does sometimes do a bit of the victim stuff where he's spoke about how everybody shat on him and kind of nobody really supported him during that kind of downtime when he had his divorce and that kind of stuff. Right. I don't think that relates to what this is, because this is done with the intent of, I'm going to do this and get all the attention on me and get all the hate. I don't care about the hate. I'm welcoming the hate. Whereas in the other situations, he isn't welcoming the hate. So, like, it doesn't undermine this kind of mentality that he has, and the like doing this in a way is noble. To try and help somebody, make yourself the villain to help somebody out. This, in a way, is like a noble thing to do, but it is also a bit abrasive for certain people. And from my perspective, I think it's fine. Like, I don't mind shit posting. I can deal with shit posting. It is what it is, but this it's not for everybody, and I understand that people will find it rude, or they'll find it like distasteful and whatever. That's fine, whatever, each to their own. But like, to say that he undermines it by playing victim afterwards, I don't really agree that is the case.
Referred to it as an AoE taunt that quite frankly was so effective at boosting his threat level that Tawanto
you can hear from her reaction. She's like, maybe you shouldn't be doing this tech turn.
This from the perspective of the pitchfork mob. He also went.
I didn't even know why originally he was tweeting all that shit. I didn't even know Tawanto was getting hate when he started. I just opened Twitter and was like, all right, if you say so, my man. How about the Tawanto?
See, that's the perspective of a lot of people. They don't understand that there's more context behind the whole thing. And it's not until you go and watch and listen to why Tectone does the things that he does that you understand why he's doing these actions. And in a way, like, on the surface, he looks really fucking bad. But when you actually dig a little deeper, you go, okay, I understand why you did it, but like, maybe you shouldn't have done it in some cases. Like, did Tawanto really ask him to help him? Probably not. He just kind of took the onus upon himself to do it. Probably because he loves the attention. Like, I think there is something about Tectone, he does like the attention. But at the same time, like, when I react to him, I've only watched the start of his reaction, but he seems a bit reluctant to watch this video. So I don't know. I'm a bit torn of whether or not he loves the attention or not. I think to some extent he does, and then maybe not so much in other extents. He kind of maybe gets a bit tired of it sometimes. But in this case, he definitely loved the attention.
I was like, oh, okay, all right, go off, I guess.
On to explain that he does what he does to expose these people for who they are, bullies on the internet. Now I know many will say it is ironic coming from him, considering he's perceived as a bully himself.
Did not stop streaming,
No comment.
Being on this damn planet is a hypocrite. People do make mistakes, and people can be misguided. This is why intent matters. Consider Hanlon's
Well, did you skip over it? Wait, did you skip over it?
No comment.
Being on this damn
Yeah, she skipped over it. I think they cut it out of the video.
planet is a hypocrite. People do make mistakes, and people can be misguided. This is why intent matters. Consider Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained.
A lot of people misunderstanding why I put this quote in here. It's kind of hard to explain. This is a general sense. It's not I'm saying that Tectone does things out of stupidity. Sometimes he does. But like people kind of saying, oh, I was talking about intent, and then I'm now talking about like if he does it through stupidity, then like the intent, blah blah blah. It's kind of a bit of a hard thing to kind of bring to my mind at this moment to try and explain it. But this is a general. I'm talking in a generality here. I'm not saying like when you're give people the benefit of the doubt, because there is a chance that they're not doing it maliciously, they're doing it through stupidity. And sometimes some of the things that Tectone does, he does them with an intent, but like the knock-on effect that could seem malicious sometimes is just because of something that he didn't consider. And that is the kind of stupidity part of it. So I don't know if that makes sense. It's hard to kind of properly formulate the sentences in my mind and speak them like on the fly. I'd have to like, this is why I kind of script videos, because I've got a lot of thoughts, but it's very hard for me to speak them as I'm kind of going. But yeah.
Through stupidity.
Nah, everything is malice. That's why anybody who disagrees with me shall be killed.
Maybe you're aware of an old Japanese tale about the red and blue Oni. If you played Arataki Ito's story quest, you definitely have been exposed to it. This is a story about how the red Oni wants to make friends with the villagers, but they dislike him due to his appearance. His friend, the blue Oni, devises a plan where he will go into the village and scare them, allowing the red Oni to step in and save the day. As a result, the red Oni becomes friends with the villagers, as the blue Oni is forced to live in exile alone, tarnished as the villain. If you have two brain cells to rub together, you will understand the moral of the story and how it relates to the Toronto situation. Tectone has no problem making himself public enemy.
See, like, people saying to fucking kill yourself because you made a tweet about Robin sucking dick is so insane to me. It's like, just fucking move on. Like, you don't need to tell somebody to kill themselves because of something that is kind of like, yes, they're baiting you to do this. You're taking the bait. You're an absolute fucking idiot for doing this. Just ignore him and he will go away. But they don't understand that. And this is why they're, in a way, they're bullies on the internet, because this is the type of stuff they do. Somebody will say something that is completely innocuous and then they all get upset and start dogpiling them for no fucking reason, because what? Like, some weird fucking political thing or some weird social thing that they care like heavily about. Like, just leave people alone. I don't understand this shit. And he's obviously looking through this and he's laughing because it is fucking ridiculous and it's pathetic. You're an ankle biter at this point. You're just biting at his ankles, and you'll say out of one side of your mouth, I hate drama and I hate Tectone because he creates drama, but while sending him fucking shit like this, it's so insane to me.
Number 1, to draw attention away from others or to draw attention to an issue within the community. This is actually consistent behavior. As I stated earlier,
I mean, he's done that for me in situations as well, realistically speaking. You know, not to the same degree as like the Tuanto thing, because oh my God, I was shocked by some of the behavior on Twitter. Like he's done that like in situations where I've been in a tough spot as well, which was really appreciated, because without somebody to actually like speak truth to what was going on, I would have been like mega super fucked. It's a kind thing to do. Granted, that was not quite so controversial on Tectone's part, but he does do that, and like he is somebody who's like that. And I know you can put slurp glorp in fucking chat, okay? I think Tectone is deeply flawed. And I always have said that. But he is also like a genuinely like kind person who does actually genuinely try to help people. And that doesn't just include people who are like me, who are like, you know, the D writers and stuff. He does that for people who don't specifically talk about them in his content or talk about him in their content, like people who just like make good stuff. Like he supports people who make interesting things and that are good people.
his rationale.
Yeah, that's the impression I get. So like she's basically confirming everything that I just assumed from from the outside.
For why he wails also aligns with this, making himself the court jester in an attempt to make the lives of others better.
What else could he be but a jester?
Here we go.
A jester? A jester?
Stop using this video, please. Thank you.
A funny idea, a jester.
He consistently talks about smaller creators.
I love the clip,
wanting to
it's so
prop them
good.
up, and I've seen him do.
I'm on TV!
Jester.
He consistently talks about.
You look completely different. What happened?
I'm on TV. This was one of my worst moments in my career. I hate it. Actually, this one was fine. This is a different one, but oh my God. Look how ugly my fucking setup was. Ew. The horizontal chat is crazy. Ugly as fuck.
Smaller creators, wanting to prop them up, and I've seen him do this for people who truly deserve it. Over time, as I've came to understand who he is and why he acts the way he does, I found myself shifting towards the belief that he is a man of good character. Essentially the blue Oni of the gotcha scene, brutish and brash, but deep down he cares about the well-being of those who matter to him.
I'm fucking awesome. You know who's still gonna be here? This fucking guy!
And also a massive big head, who's bald.
I were to cry
True.
when somebody would call me bald.
Now you may be under the suspicion my motivation behind this video was to bait Tectone into reacting to it, so I could get a little bit of clout. I'm not gonna lie to you, even if there is a 0.01% chance that will come to fruition, I'm gonna take those odds. But this
I'm gonna be honest, he probably will. If there's one
And
thing
he did.
Tectone likes to talk about more than anything else, it
Is
is himself.
So you see here, I only have 130 subs. So when she's viewing it, there's 750. Currently, I think it's like 2,000. So this video's done really well, and like you've got to, if you look at like other channels that have videos that have 40k on them, that are kind of like relative to my size, sometimes they don't get the same sub conversion rate. The sub conversion rate from this video has actually been pretty good. I don't know if it probably isn't going to translate into other videos from my other other views from my other content, but like I was kind of like, this is the thing, I was kind of surprised. I thought this video was going to get 1,000 views, and I didn't think it was going to do the rounds the way it has. I was actually out the country the day after I released the video, or a couple of days after. So I had no internet or anything. And then I come back and I went from 130 subs to 500, and I was like, oh, something's happened. And the natural growth, the natural bump from YouTube is really massive. Actually more so than Tectone reacting. So like Tectone reacting has probably gave it like an extra 50% or maybe 40% on that bump, and then obviously from Hex reacting as well. So in many ways, the reason the video's done so well is just that it's done well in the algorithm and done well on YouTube. The reaction has been like an extra bump, but it hasn't, like if you look at the impressions, it hasn't affected impressions or anything like that. It's just because this is the other thing that a lot of people don't understand about reaction is somebody will react, and if it's a good video, people are going to go to the video and they're going to leave a like and they're going to leave a comment, but they're not going to watch the video. So what that does is, say if like my average view percentage was like 10 minutes out of 16 before, now Tectone's reacted, it's pulled that right down to 5 minutes, and that affects the video in some way. You do get more views than you would have, but it does affect the video in some way because now your video is getting less retention time. So there's so many moving parts when it comes to YouTube. It's a really complicated system, and understanding how to kind of work around that is kind of difficult. It's a bit of a minefield in many cases. Again, I've gone on a tangent and I forgot what I was talking about, so we'll continue and maybe pick up on what I was talking about.
It is what it is.
Channel is incredibly
he's
small,
gonna react.
garnering
He has
very low
reacted.
view counts, so chances anybody will see it is incredibly low anyway.
He's gonna see it. Bro Googles himself like 24/7.
Motherfuckers who
Yeah,
have
it doesn't
50
surprise
followers
me.
on Twitter, and you douchebags who get 10 views on your YouTube videos. No, I'm not going to help you. That's not what I mean by smaller.
I said this earlier in the video. I completely agree with this stance. This is the exact same mindset that I have, except that I don't express it so brazenly. The problem is I could shout somebody out, and unless their content's good, it's not going to do anything for them. So, you know, they kind of, people need to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. As much as people do not like that phrase, you need to pull yourself up. You need to, like, it's like the other phrase, like, you can give a man a fish, but like you teaching him to fish is the better thing to do. And when I have done shout outs in the past, what I've done is I've, instead of saying, look at this guy's content, it's really good, I've gone, look at this guy's content, he wants feedback, please give him feedback, tell him what he needs to improve. And then I've told them, listen to what people tell you and do and fix all the problems, because that way you'll be improving your content. That's more important than the views. Like, you're trying to jump to the end and get the views and get the clout and whatever. That you can't get that without putting in the work and understanding what you need to do as a content creator. And I mean, I know I'm speaking as if I'm hugely successful. I'm not. But this is just what I'd learned from doing it on multiple channels. My main issue is that I start new channels constantly, and I end up getting loads of dead subs because of viral hit videos. So it's probably going to happen again, but we'll see how it goes, I guess.
For creators, I'm going to say something that you need to understand. You have not earned shit yet.
So to presume
That's
that is
true.
my only motivation
Oh God, ew. This video is so fuck ugly, bro. I was playing simulated duck game, some duck game simulator. Ugh. God, that video sucks so bad. I literally remade that video because I thought it sucked so bad. It's like 4 minutes of poop ass. God, I hate it. I hate it. It's so ugly.
is actually quite ignorant. Making a video about such a divisive figure while attempting to paint him in a positive light could just as easily backfire and bring me some unwanted attention.
Oh, Tectone's bad, and everybody who watches Tectone is evil.
No, I actually decided to make this video because I came across a small creator who has been struggling for several years like myself. In that video, he spoke about Tectone and how some of the things he had said.
So Splashy's a really nice guy. You'll see that I'll have to comment on his video. I think he's still got a long way to go in terms of content creation, and I hope he sticks with it. Because he said in his video that he's got a little kid on the way. So I said to him, it's going to be really difficult for you to keep making content, but just, keep improving, keep going. Eventually you will get somewhere. You just need to slowly, I mean, this is the thing with YouTube. When you first start out, even for a few years, you need to just keep throwing stuff out there and just get into the rhythm of making content. And over time, you're going to get better at speaking, you're going to get better at, formulating your opinions or whatever it is that you're going to do. And then at some point, something will come along and you'll just take off. It might take a long time for certain people. It takes longer than others. Certain people have more charisma than others. Certain people pick the right topics. There is a skill thing in there. If you you can, like me, go super autistic and watch every video under the sun of how to do YouTube and all this kind of stuff, and then go, I don't want to do any of that shit, right? That's kind of what I do, but I understand a lot about YouTube because I've watched a lot of stuff about it. I've studied it. Like, I get the impression with Splashy that he's kind of just doing his thing and trying to make it work, and that's like good as well. You don't need to study YouTube, because at the same time, when you start studying YouTube and trying to gamify it, it can become more stressful, and that's what I've also experienced firsthand. But yeah, Splashy, really nice guy. I hope the best for him. I hope he does do well. But I do think he's got a long way to go with content creation.
Really inspired him to push forward with YouTube. In my response to his video, I quoted Robert Myers Burnett.
So I tend to write essays sometimes. You'll see also this comment 3 weeks ago. I wrote this video the next day. I wrote the entire script the next day. Then I think in the same day I recorded half of the audio. So audio takes a long time to record. So this video was like, I was going to do this video 3 weeks ago, and then I stopped and I was like, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And then I think Withering Waves come out, and then I did a bit more Withering Waves content. Kind of changed my priority a little bit. I might have done Withering Wave videos before this. I can't really remember. So this video was just on the back burner, and I wasn't going to do it. And it wasn't until like last weekend where I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this video, and I'm just gonna see what happens, because I was kind of worried that people were gonna give me a lot of shit. The other interesting thing is I mentioned Ashi Kai in the video a little bit earlier as well, and I sent her a message before I released the video, and just to talk to her, see how she was, and catch up with her. And then I released the video, didn't tell her anything about it, and then she come back to me a few days later saying, "You're brave," right? For releasing this video. But like, now that I've released it and I've seen the response to it, I don't think I was really like, I was worrying about nothing. I think a lot, at least on the YouTube side of things, a lot of people agree with my position. A lot of people share the same experience as me with Tectone, and a lot of people don't really like him, find him a bit abrasive and whatever, but they kind of have the same respect for him that I do. So, but yeah, again, back to this comment. I made this comment because I thought, you know, this guy, he seemed a bit deflated, but he also felt a bit raring to go to continue with his content and just see where it goes. I don't think he should quit, right? I think he was saying this is his last chance with Withering Waves. I don't think it is his last chance. I think he just needs to keep going, because as long, yes, it's going to be difficult with his time and stuff, but he just needs to keep pushing through, and eventually he might get somewhere, or it might be all for nothing. But the thing is, he just needs to make, as long as he's enjoying making content, he should just keep making content, I think. But yeah, I gave him all this to try and give him a bit of a boost, because this is the whole thing about pulling the ladder up behind you. Obviously, I was smaller than Splashy at the time, but I have got like a bit of this experience with, like, as I was saying here, I had a channel that had 40k, I had a channel that had 20k, I had a channel that had 10k. I've also got another dev channel that's got about 2.5. This one's got 2.5. I've got this habit of going from channel to channel and not focusing on one thing. So the point of this channel is to try and just put everything in one place, and just not worry about it anymore, and try and get rid of the perfectionism and the indecisiveness that I have, which is very difficult, because I would say that I'm a very creative person, and I like to be very creative with what I do. I don't really like just doing reaction content, or doing like that all like content that is very simple and very straightforward. I find it very difficult, and I'll start doing that, and then slowly, like, the projects that I do become more and more complicated, and more I do a lot more research, a lot more editing and all this kind of stuff. I mean, with this video, it took me quite a few days to put it together because I had to collect all the footage. While I was editing footage on my computer, I had my phone next to me, which had a 3-hour recording of Tectone talking about stuff, talking about drama, I think, playing in the background. And whenever he said something that I thought that would be a good soundbite, I was then writing the numbers on my whiteboard, the timestamps, so I could come back to it later. So I went through loads of footage to try and pull all this together, and it paid off, to be honest. But yes, again, I'm going on a tangent, so let's move on.
A filmmaker and pundit who in recent years has become a YouTube creator himself.
I don't watch Robert Myers-Burnett too much, but I've got massive respect for him, because he seems like a really down-to-earth guy who has the same mentality as I do, and there's things that he says. Sometimes he gets a bit too passionate about things, and he kind of gets a bit too flowery with what he's saying. But the point he's making with this quote, I think, is really, really good, and I hope he's right about it, because maybe it's copium on my part, but we'll continue with it.
He said,
"Authenticity is the currency of the 21st century," and I believe that.
As we
I was to say 23rd.
enter the age of AI, where it becomes hard to discern fact from fiction, people will begin to actively seek out authenticity. At least, I hope this to be the case, because a world where fabrication is king is not a world I wish to live in. We have already seen a
I think this is true in a lot of senses in content creation. I think it's also very true for VTubers, because yes, I use the model, hee hee hoo hoo, but the reality is in no way am I not myself. I think that having more genuine and authentic content is more and more going to be something that is currently desired, but is going to be more desired over time, because authenticity is a really big deal, because I think people are kind of tired of these huge creators that are millionaires that show their mansions, that always have these highly produced, highly edited, very, very high quality stuff like that. I don't think people really want that anymore, especially for streamers. I don't really want to watch streamers that I find inauthentic.
strong.
I think it depends on the person, but generally YouTube, the whole draw with YouTube to begin with was just the fact that it's a guy sat in front of his computer talking about stuff he cares about. And that is the heart and soul of YouTube. Streaming, kind of a similar type of thing. You just kind of sat in front of there unfiltered for 9 hours. So I obviously don't really watch Twitch, but I prefer more YouTube. But a lot of the content creators I watch, a lot of it is I watch a lot of YouTube streaming as well, where people just talk unfiltered. And then the videos I watch are just people who are very genuine, and they talk about their opinions unfiltered, and they just say it how it is. And sometimes the stuff they say will rock the boat and upset people, but I've got a good filter for that stuff. I don't you can say make really offensive jokes and say really offensive things, and I can understand that you're joking, and I can understand that the intent of being over expressive and whatever is to try and draw attention to something that you care about, and that is what I'm talking about with authenticities. People that are true to themselves, they speak truth, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, what your beliefs are, as long as you're true to yourself. And this is why I kind of watch Blazookas, because I think he's being true to himself. I think he's being authentic. I don't think he's trying to be an ankle biter. The more I watch him, I think he's just insane. And I don't mean that as literally insane. I just think he's just a crazy personality, and the things he says are just really bonkers and strange. But I don't necessarily think he's lying, or is trying to do some trying to what's the word, grift. I don't think he's a grifter, but there are people out there who are grifters, and I was about to mention names, but we'll move on before I do that.
Pushback against this type of thing in the art community, with many rejecting AI. Although sometimes I feel this pushback.
So this here is Shaden Brooks. So Shaden Brooks is a guy from Shadowversity who is an advocate for AI art, and I've listened to his opinions on it, and I actually agree with a lot of stuff that he says when it comes to AI art. But I also do agree with a lot of the like, he's very for AI art. I agree with a lot of the things that he's stated. I also disagree with a lot of stuff with it around it as well. Like, I believe authentic art is always going to be the best thing. But like this is just ridiculous. And like they're basically taking his arguments out of context. And this is the thing what I'm saying about like the AI community is very self-serving, where they know that their job is at risk, so they are not going to argue on good faith for AI art and how it could potentially benefit them as an artist and how it could potentially benefit us. Having played with AI art myself, it's actually very restricted, and it relies heavily on the source material that it draws from. However, it doesn't literally steal art, and there's a very complicated thing around it. And I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, but it just steals art. You fundamentally do not understand AI art if that's what you think. And a lot of the arguments that Shad brings forward is to do with, like, as an artist, what you're doing is you're viewing other art and you're taking that into memory and then you're learning from it. And you're doing that over and over. So are you stealing art by creating a data bank of all this stuff in your mind so then you can recall it to then draw your art? That is essentially what it does. It takes noise, it reduces everything into noise and text information, all this kind of stuff. It tries to understand shapes and then recreate them in different ways. And a lot of people that kind of reduce all the pro arguments down to like stupid crap, which I've seen a lot of videos of people doing this. It really feels like they've never really looked into AI art and have not really understood what it's all about. I understand from an ethical standpoint or moral standpoint that you think it's bad, but unless you truly understand what it is, again, going back to the previous point, unless you know the opposition, you can't argue for yourself. And a lot of these videos, they do not understand the thing they're criticizing at all. And it's a real shame because I do agree with them to some extent that AI art is kind of not a cool thing. A lot of it is ugly. A lot of it's taking away like the human spirit. The human spirit's not there. You're taking away a lot of these things. And like, even though I've dabbled with AI art myself, if I were to make a project, I would use AI art as a concepting tool or to get ideas out to an artist, and then I would pay an artist to draw the things that like that I've used AI to kind of capture the idea to give them like something. And you've also got to think, this is turning into a whole AI art thing, but we'll roll with it. You've also got to think, when somebody uses a tablet and they do digital art, you'll have things like vectors, right? So you'll draw a line, and then what you can do is you can highlight that line and you can simplify it, and you can make those lines a lot more curved and a lot more refined. So a lot of these tools that people use digitally are essentially like AI. They're already using AI. If you think of filters and how filters work and how color correction works and all these types of things, they're all computer, like, it's not necessarily intelligence, but it's computer algorithms. And AI art in many ways is, yes, it's got like self-learning and all this kind of stuff, but I think a lot of it is just, in a way, an algorithm. And artists already use this fucking shit, right? And it's to a point where, like, when you're actively denying AI art and how it could potentially benefit you, so you could, like, it could speed up certain parts of the the art process. Maybe you want to refine lines quicker, or maybe you want to fill out colors a little quicker, and things like that. They're completely like hamstringing themselves by not embracing it to some extent. There are obviously worries about it. I'm a musician, right? And I'll go out and I'll play gigs and whatever. There's a level of the general public that do not understand or appreciate the craft. And this is the same with art. So you could play like really complex music out in public and nobody will give a shit. But then you can play music that people enjoy and they'll love it. And it's the same with art. If you're making AI art that people like, they're not going to care about the process for the most part. They won't know about the process for the most part. Whereas you could be somebody who does it all authentically, does it traditionally, and your art looks like shit and nobody would give a shit, right? That's just the reality of art. So in a way, I understand why artists are upset, because AI art is genuinely a threat, because any old person can create AI art now. However, after using AI art myself, it's not that fucking easy to make something good with it. Most of the time, it looks generic and shit, and it can only draw from certain things, and there's a lot of limitations to it. But if you're an artist who can draw, and you use like image to image, and then use AI to enhance, you're going to be making some real good shit real fucking fast. And to basically deny it and not embrace it, I think is actually kind of like you're hurting yourself in many ways. And it's exactly the same with people that were doing pen and paper back in the day, criticizing people that go digital, right? It's exactly the same thing, and it's going to happen time and time again. And in a way, it's a bunch of old artists complaining about the new way. It is going to be the future. As long, like, see this guy here on this, I'm still going on about this shit, but this guy's complaining about how the arm's the wrong size and the face shading's wrong, right? And yes, you can make those criticisms about AI art, but if you're an artist, you'll notice these things and you'll be able to use the AI and manipulate the AI to fix these things. So it's gonna still take some level of artistic kind of knowledge and stuff. So the fact that anybody can do AI art doesn't mean that it's a real threat, because it's probably all going to be shit unless you know what you're doing.
Back is more self-serving than propping up authenticity. I do believe it is a sign of things to come. Another example is how many trailers for movies, TV shows and video games are getting bombarded with dislikes from
I thought I'd see some bad dislike ratio.
Right, so this is the dislike ratio for Rings of Power. So Rings of Power is obviously something I'm very critical of as somebody who likes Lord of the Rings. But there's a lot of video games, a lot of movies now that are getting heavily disliked as a result of many factors. And one of the biggest things is creators that are making these things that are using them as a vehicle to push their own either politics or their own stories or their own visions, and they do not follow the original intent and the original law of the creator. There is a whole political aspect to it as well, with when it comes to like inclusion, diversity and all this kind of stuff. But I think a lot of that is not the problem. That is not the core issue that is going on here. The issue is it's not authentic, and it feels like you're pandering or checking boxes, or you're doing things that do not match what the original thing was intended to be, and that's why people don't like it. And it's always reduced down to something that it's not. And like, people that criticize these things and dislike these things are often labeled as bad people, and this is kind of like what this part of the video is kind of talking about, because I show a few creators that do that, and some of them are very like nice people. Like I show Star Wars Theory in here. He's a really nice guy. He means like no harm at all, and he gets hate threads and articles written about him just because he has opinions where he says he doesn't like Star Wars as much as he used to. and it's so insane.
This is my time on these gotcha videos. Oh God, that made my skin feel like it don't fit. Oh God.
General audiences. This is often in response to their creators forcibly attempted to pervert away from the original vision and true intent, thus eroding their authenticity. As much as you hate Tectone, the one thing you cannot deny is his success. His authenticity resonates with his base, and it does for many aspiring content creators. Asmongold is another perfect example of an incredibly successful creator who is true to himself. He will happily live like a slob as if he doesn't have a dime to his name, despite sitting on a...
I don't think that's a real cockroach, by the way. I think that's fake, but it is pretty funny.
Pile of money.
This is gonna sound.
I feel like I would just hire a maid. You know, I like
Yeah,
cleaning,
I would
but
as
got
well,
ADHD.
definitely.
It's hard to plan and do those kind of things. At that point, just hire somebody to come clean your house like deeply every week. He does. Does he now? If he's happy, I can't say nothing. But like, he like, I think he really does not spend the money that he makes at all.
Yeah, which is kind of insane to me because his house is like not really anything crazy. I think it's still the same house that he grew up in. And he obviously has sentimental value there because of losing his mother and stuff. But like, just tidy up, man. Like, he's allowed to live like that, but for me, it's just like there's no way like that is good for your mental well-being to live in that kind of state all the time. And he said that he's planning to clean it up. I hope he does. Tectone's saying that he's going to go over and help him, which is good. I hope that he does, because I think it would be good for him. But he's got all this money, and he doesn't spend it. And to be honest, I can kind of relate to that because I think if I was in the same situation as him, I wouldn't spend the money either. And I would probably put them. Well, actually, I probably would spend the money. I'd spend the money on projects. And giving back to people. I think that's how I would do it. But yeah, it's funny because like say Plazuka's, I know I'm mentioning him again, but Plazuka's like constantly criticizes these content creators for all the money they're making, and they do all these things for money, but they don't, because Asmongold doesn't give a shit about money. It's very obvious he doesn't give a shit about money. I mean, he's got YouTube channels that get thousands of views, and basically the editors get like all the money, like pretty much. I think he might get a small percentage, but most of the money goes to them. So like, and so I think some of them aren't even monetized. He just doesn't care. He might even be paying the editors out of his own pocket and then making sure they're not monetized, which is quite a good thing, to be honest. So
I'm kind of crazy. I think I'm gonna clean up my house. It's gotten so bad that like I feel like it might be debuffing me. I remember Tectone like couldn't breathe after he was in my house. Emmy said she was getting like fucking like acne and shit. I remember Kaisi kept saying she had like rashes.
So bad.
Bro, it's a scarlet rot.
Money.
It's
Scarlet Rot. So anybody who doesn't get that reference, it's if you've played Elden Ring, there's like basically an area that is completely contaminated with this like red rot, which is called Scarlet Rot. So pretty funny.
Scarlet Rot is crazy. He's got the spores, bro.
Fame hasn't changed him.
I mean, I've lived in houses with other people that are really untidy, and I've lived in houses that are incredibly damp, and when you've got this much clutter and stuff around, your house is also going to get damp. You're going to pull clothes away from walls, and you're going to find that there's like molds growing there. That stuff is terrible for your health. So again, like, he can live how he wants, but this is like actively gonna be hurting his physical health as well, and he needs to sort it out.
Who remains an asshole and doesn't care about upsetting people to express how he feels about a given topic. He's his true, authentic self, and it obviously works. Tectone has gone on record saying that...
I mean, I know a lot of people that really don't like Asmongold, and they're really like negative about him. Oh, he's in his bubble and all this kind of stuff. I actually don't think that's true. I don't think Asmongold is in a bubble at all, because he gets heavily criticized by his fan base. He's very, I think the most you can say about him is he's stubborn as fuck, and he's very opinionated, and he has high value in his opinions. I don't agree with a lot of the things he says. I do agree with a lot of other things he says, but again, it's the same thing that I was going back to earlier. He's authentic and he speaks his mind, and that to me is commendable. And he doesn't care if people get upset by what he says. He will say it. Sometimes it can be like, you can criticize him for that and say, well, maybe you should be a little less abrasive. It's not the way I would conduct myself, but I still can respect that he can do that. And the other thing is, I forgot his name, this content creator. What is his name? Why can't I remember his name? Anyway, this content creator, like I mentioned toxic positivity. Somebody made a comment about how like the fact that I've put him in here is that I'm calling him a toxic positive creator. From what I've seen, this guy seems like a really nice dude, and like I've got nothing against him. I don't think he's toxically positive or anything like that. So I put this clip here because this was one of the content creators that Tectone criticized for being very pro-Genshin. When I speak about toxic positivity, I'm actually talking more about audiences, because I used to get, whenever I would criticize like the anniversary and stuff, I would get so much pushback about people that would just like overly positive about Genshin and saying, oh, you can't criticize it. And I've never understood that. I've also, on one of my other channels, I made a video about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I criticized the fact that the map in that game does not represent the actual world that you're in, and that they, in all their marketing material, they put it forward and kind of misrepresented everything. And I got so much hate for pointing something out that is a fact and reality. And this is what I talk about toxic positivity. People are so tribalistic for a thing to the point where it becomes part of their personality and they can't separate themselves from it. So when you criticize the thing they like, all of a sudden now you're criticizing them personally and they've got a vendetta about you. This is what I talk about when I say toxic positivity, and when maybe this is not what Tectone means, but I believe this is what toxic positivity is. This is what I'm talking about. So it's not any commentary on this guy. I think this guy's a really nice guy, and he watched this video about Wuthering Waves. He seems like he's really open-minded and a real chill, nice dude. So yeah, let's continue.
The Genshin community has a toxic positivity problem, but
the Hoyo community has a toxic positivity problem.
I'd argue we're in the midst of an authenticity
I do agree
crisis,
to some
which
extent,
is occurring all over the internet and in real life. Many game the system in attempt.
Oh God, this girl. Oh God, please don't remind me of this whole fucking thing. She was so stupid.
Yeah, this
to gain
fucking
clout, and such people are probably.
She kept doubling, tripling down to try and prove that she was like. I don't understand why the fuck she did this. Because it only just came back to bite her in the ass. For the context of this, she did a fake blindfold run of fighting one of the hardest bosses in Monster Hunter World, and then people all called her out on it. Loads of like this Carl guy, he did a video on her. So then she came back with another one with this new blindfold, as you can see on the thumbnail here. And what she did is you can see how loose that blindfold is, and she can actually look out the corner of her nose, and she's got another monitor down below, and she's basically still not blindfolded. She's faking it once again, so she doubled down with it. So ridiculous, to be honest.
Best described as counterfeit creators. A lot of content I consume comes from individuals who are respect for their honesty.
So that Star Wars Fury, really nice guy. And in fact, he's here. So this is
described as counterfeit creators. A lot of
so behind him is the Critical Drinker, who's another guy who's really popular and gets a lot of shit. But he kind of plays a bit of a character who's like a drinker, basically. He's like drunk, but he's really down to earth, and like I really enjoy both their content. And again, they get so much shit and so much hate, for just being honest and true, and people don't like when you criticize things. I don't understand this. This is the whole toxic positivity thing. People don't like when you criticize things. They get upset and they tell you you shouldn't be critical. You shouldn't be critical. And it's just something that's really alien to me, that I don't think I'll ever understand.
Content I consume comes from individuals who I respect for their honesty. Often I may find I don't agree with their point of view or the way they sometimes conduct themselves, but at least I know they're being true to who...
This is Gary from Nerderotic, and you'll see, I love this clip.
They are.
Freedom! A Twi'lek! A fucking Twi'lek! Fuck Star Wars! I fucking... God, it's stupid shit. Oh, dude.
You want to hear my most nuclear take? The most nuclear take that has ever been taken? Star Wars is painfully mid. Not like the new ones, like all of them. I'm shocked by how many people...
I would agree that Star Wars is painfully mid. I think that the original trilogy is pretty decent, but and the thing you've got to understand is the context for the time. It was, at the time, there was nothing like it. And this is the other thing that you need to understand with Alien. So I don't really like Alien too much, which is, that's a big, bad no-no. I'm not that big on Alien. I think the first movie's great. The second movie's all right. I'm not too big. I prefer the first movie because it's more like a horror movie. I know a lot of people prefer the second one. But what you need to understand about Alien and what you need to respect about Alien is there was nothing like it. There was nothing like it in terms of science fiction at the time, and it was something completely new. And that is kind of the same with Star Wars. If you don't consider the context around it and why it was successful, then it is painfully mid. By modern day standards, it is painfully mid. But so many things have been inspired by Star Wars, and in terms of storytelling, it's very simple. It's just the hero's journey, but that kind of thing works. And the original trilogy to me is good. I don't watch it very often. The prequels are terrible, and then everything that came after that is even worse. And a lot of these content creators basically want it to be like what it used to be. It's never going to be what it used to be because of how, like, in a way, I feel like Star Wars, the original trilogy, is kind of, it's a one and done, and you can't really recreate it because what ends up happening is they try to play off nostalgia and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, so what? Again, I went on a tangent, and this is my problem. I just go off on tangents. So Star Wars. I think her saying it's mid is true to some extent, but in the context of when it came out, it was definitely not mid. It was insanely good, and it's the same with Lord of the Rings. To be honest, Lord of the Rings, like the movies, still hold up today. And Lord of the Rings is like, if somebody were to say, "Oh, Lord of the Rings is mid," I'd say you are completely ignoring the context. Yeah.
People are agreeing with this. In general, all of Star Wars is fucking mid as shit. Not bad, mid. Sorry.
I threw Andrew Garfield's head at it and it broke.
As a result, such creators have countless Reddit posts and articles written about them.
So something that I did here. So if you see, okay, I've messed up. So this here says I disagree with Tectone. What I did at the start. So this one here. Oh, she zoomed in. I overdubbed it. I disagree with Facepalme, and then over here it says Facepalme has now crowned himself the de facto king of Wuthering Waves. So I did like a little bit of editing there. I thought it was pretty funny. Probably nobody saw that, but So let's go back to here.
All of Star Wars is fucking mid as shit. Not bad, mid. Sorry.
Yeah, I completely get that take.
Head at it and it broke.
As a result, such creators have
see
countless
why a lot
Reddit
of people
posts and articles
just
written
think, what the
about
fuck,
them,
it's
painting
over-
them as
overrated.
vile, disgusting people. Thus is the nature of the
So this was interesting because he was in there. He was talking to this. I don't really understand the full context because I didn't watch the clip, like, not, I did watch the clip, but I didn't watch the stream. I don't know who the woman is he's talking to, but from what I understand, is she has nothing to do with Star Wars. They were talking just about general kind of social stuff, and it got on the topic of Star Wars, and the woman's reaction was, no girls like Star Wars. Which is probably, for the most part, true. There are women that like Star Wars, but it's like, compared to the male demographic, it's a lot lower. So her perception was, oh, people don't like it. Well, girls do like it, right? And all that Star Wars Theory did was he kind of laughed, because he thought her take was a bit funny, and I think he did give us some pushback afterwards. But they took that out of context, saying that he agreed with her. Look, see, it says he agreed. He didn't. So why did they write this article? It's so weird.
It's so weird how people can just twist stuff, completely try to brand you as something that you're not.
And he's the nicest. He's one of the nicest guys that I've came across on YouTube. He's such a wholesome, nice guy, and he gets this shit. I don't get it.
Just weird. I don't really get it, man.
But the way I see it, there are two paths you can travel down. You can take the
Yeah, people say that I D-ride on Tectone all the time. I hate that, dude. They're always like, oh yeah, all the Hex only, all she does is just slap a Tectone knob. That's all she is. She's only popular because Tectone. I hate him. I just pulled that out of the air for no reason. It's not even true. What do you mean? He's the worst person ever. He's evil. He's literally Satan. Can I get my updates on Twitter and Reddit, please, now? I said the thing. Can I get my Twitter updates? My Reddit gold, please? Tectone equal bad? Reddit karma? Give it to me, thank you.
Path of least resistance and fake it. Create a persona to cater
so
to...
this clip, I know I'm also reacting to my own video here, but this clip is actually from Red Letter Media, and the whole commentary here is they're pretending to be like Star Wars shills, right? And they've got all the nerd memorabilia around, they got their sponsors, and this is what I'm criticizing. A lot of these kind of content creators that do this, and they don't criticize the thing that they're so-called covering because they know it's bad for metrics or whatever. And this video is hilarious. It's I can't remember what it's called. What are they called? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's Red Letter Media. Definitely, the video is so funny.
Specific audience that wants you to say what they want to hear, all the while pandering to a corporation.
And this is another one they did. Oh, it's Nerd Crew. That's what they're called. They're called the Nerd Crew. This one is where they're criticizing. They're basically doing a satire on the whole. Big fans of Marvel and stuff, and this was to do with Madam Web, so it's brilliant.
In the attempt to open yourself up to get backhand deals and big time sponsorships.
I'm sorry, but this guy's whole body language is throwing me the fuck off. What the fuck is he?
He's faking it. He's being over the top. I don't think she knows the context. So.
Doing with his body, his whole body.
Attempt to open yourself up to get backhand deals and big time sponsorships. For the moment,
what is that? That body language is crazy. What is he doing?
When you attempt to go against the grain, the very audience you have cultivated will quickly turn on you. Or you can take the path of authenticity.
Such a good
where
video.
You accumulate an audience that likes you for who you are. You may become blacklisted.
So again, this is more Star Wars.
Where you accumulate.
So this video was just him. He was at a convention. That's where the Rippaverse Comics was another whole content creator that gets a lot of shit. But everybody that comes up to him are young people that really inspired, loved his videos. His videos helped them through certain points in their life, and they're all very thankful of him. And this is probably the same with Tectone. It's the same with a lot of the comments I've got on my video, where people are saying he's genuinely is a nice guy, and he's helped me as a content creator, or has helped me as just an individual trying to switch off. I just want to watch somebody be funny and entertaining. So yeah.
It's that likes you for who you are.
There's always two sides of the coin, right? And this is the whole point of the video, is I kind of want to show that side of the coin. But Yeah, somebody Red Letter Media in the chat here. Red Letter Media, they're making fun of the shills. So somebody gets the reference there.
And have countless hate threads and articles written about you because you are too critical, but that audience will stick with you and have your back when you need them the most. Tectone appears to have taken the latter, and for that I respect him. I know this probably isn't enough to rally people to his side, but that was never my intent to begin with. I simply find it all incredibly fascinating, and I look forward to seeing a potential war zone in the comments.
And there wasn't one. I was kind of disappointed. I wanted more people. There was one guy who was arguing against everybody in a thread of comments. And I replied to him because he said that Tectone is a narcissist. And I said in response, which is probably a non sequitur, but I said, yes. But if I were to pick between Tectone and Atsu, then I would probably pick Tectone because, like, he seems more trustworthy, right? He seems more authentic and more trustworthy. You could well be correct that he's a narcissist. But I also said, like, and then he replied to me saying, "Oh, you're so disappointed. I can't believe you would use a straw man," which it is not a straw man. It's a non sequitur because it was not related to the point. I didn't say that he said, and nothing I said, whatever. I'm kind of going off on a bit of a tangent with this. But, like, he was like, he was trying to make points, but by doing so, he was just fighting with everybody. And I responded to him a few times, agreeing, okay, yes, mate, I didn't make a straw man because this is what a straw man is, but I did do a non sequitur, so I apologize for that. Then I kind of addressed his points, and then he responded to me saying, "Oh, you're so disappointed," and all this kind of crap. And I'm just like, you're just a waste of time then. So, like, the one person, well, there was a few other people, but the one person that was, like, against this whole thing was just somebody that was not civil at all. There was, outside of that, I can only think of one other comment, which was a genuine question, and he asked me, which was to do with what I addressed earlier about intent and him playing victim. And it was a good comment, and I responded to it, and he was really civil. But out of, like, I don't know how many comments are on it now, but there were like 300 at the time. I haven't looked at it for a few days because I like to do it all in one go. But he, like, there was basically none. Everybody was either agreeing with me, saying they shared the same experience, or that, you know, like, I don't watch him, but I can kind of respect him for what he does. So it was kind of an eye-opening thing for me that actually there's a lot of people that don't like, that a lot of people that do like him, or they're really neutral. There's a lot more of them than people that hate him, and I think the hate is, like, amplified on places like Twitter and Reddit, which are hate havens, in my opinion. I don't know why those two platforms are the way they are, but they are. And it's the same with all the other content creators that I mentioned in this video. On their threads, there's, like, on their comment sections, there's a lot of positive people. People criticize them and say they don't agree with this, but they're all very civil. Then occasionally you'll find ankle biters, which I think Plazookas is one. Who dislike the content creator and they make video after video criticizing them, and that is their entire content. And their comments are people defending and then also giving them mass dislikes. So yes, like, there is, like, a bit of a power dynamic there because there's, like, one content creator is big and this other content creator is a small latcher on, but there's nobody who is popular that is well known in the space that criticize Tectone that don't get loads of shit for it. And obviously the only one to memory is probably Atsu, and I'm not going to go down that whole rabbit hole, but that didn't turn out well for him in the end. So yeah, I obviously misjudged the situation. I thought there was going to be a fight, and there fucking wasn't. And I'm very disappointed because I like a good debate, I like a good fight, and nobody challenged me hard enough. There was no receipts challenging me, so I'm very disappointed.
Oh, I almost forgot. You're free to fight amongst yourselves. To anybody
Okay.
who feels like avoiding a fight, maybe you should check out my usual content, which is just me goofing off and having fun in Wuthering Waves. And well, if you don't want to do that, would you kindly bugger off?
People who have higher IQ outweigh the dumb now.
We're at the
I think
end.
so. I like that video. It was cool. It's nice to have people have a balanced opinion toward Mr. Tone. It's hard, I think, because people are so divisive on him. Like, I understand why people find him grating and annoying, because he is, in fact, grating and annoying.
What you've also got to consider is when you've got somebody who's so divisive, and he's not divisive, it's just that there's a small portion of people that really like hate him, and then there's people in the middle that are either on the side where they don't like him and they don't really engage with his content, and then people that kind of engage on his content occasionally, or people that just don't engage at all, right? A lot of those people in the middle, they're the majority, right? They're the vast majority, and I just lost my train of thought. This is the problem with me doing live commentary. A lot of these people in the middle, that's the vast majority of it, and the grand scheme of things is, like, he's not divisive. It's just that there's a vocal minority there that is very loud, but what ends up happening is, because they're so vocal and loud, what ends up happening to people in the middle is they don't talk about it, because they're like, well, everybody hates him. They get the perception that everybody hates him, because if you're on Twitter or you're on Reddit and you keep seeing these posts all the time about Tectone and people in the comments saying, oh, I hate Tectone, they're just vocal minority that are really loud. If you actually get like a bunch of people and poll them, I think you're probably going to find most people are either in favor or neutral when it comes to Tectone, and there's going to probably only be about 10 to 15% that really hate him. And that's just the reality of it, really. And this is the same for a lot of content creators. So it is what it is.
He's loud and rude and mean, and he cusses a lot, and I don't like the sound of his voice.
Yes,
Normal people
pretty
have
much.
good and bad in them. You've done things that you're probably not proud of. I have done things I'm not proud of. And so, like, having a more middle of the road approach, even if you don't then like him, you know, but like acknowledging that humans are human. And if you were live all the time and making content all the time, you would also have human and flawed moments as well.
Exactly.
If you were trying to be your
100%
authentic self.
agree.
And I think that's a good thing for everyone to acknowledge about content creators, not just Tectone, but just in general, that humans are deeply and intrinsically flawed. We're going to go ahead and like and subscribe that one. I like this a lot. And let me know
nice.
what you think in the YouTube comments down
Hey,
below.
Plazookas, look at
subscribe,
him.
That stuff. Come join us on Twitch if you ever have time. It makes your PP bigger, gives you big Riz points, big Riz bonus, if you will. And be safe, drink water, love your friends. Boo-bye!
So I actually really like HexJuice, to be honest. I haven't watched a lot of her videos. I've watched a couple here and there, but she seems like a nice personality. She's, you know, she's quite entertaining and whatever. So I really appreciate her reacting to this. I'm not sure if I'm going to edit this or just upload it all in like unedited. I do stumble and say a lot of stupid shit as I go, so I might, you know, try and clean it up a little bit. But yeah, to anybody watching, thanks for watching. I'm probably going to do the same for Tectone this evening. I've been recording for an hour and a half, so I got a lot of stuff out of this, a lot more than I expected. Her video was 40 minutes. Oof. I know Tectone's video is about 30 minutes, so we're probably going to be looking at the same, but I'll just end up repeating a lot of points, I think. But it'll be interesting to see how Tectone reacts to it. So that's going to be the next thing. So if you like the video, you know, like the video. If you didn't like the video, fuck off. And, you know, and yeah, leave a comment down below. Tell me your thoughts on anything I spoke about. Disagree with me, we'll have a nice chat in the comments. I'll love that. And if you want to do none of that, would you kindly bugger off?